Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, new locations announced for Downtown Disney. A Halloween tradition expands around the resort. Coco loses some musicians.
The Evil Queen has moved in. New characters have arrived in Frontierland. We talk with Disney author Jen Calonita and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Howdy, partners. For your safety, remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast. And be sure to watch your ears. If any of you folks are wearing hats or glasses, best remove them, because Tag and Teresa have the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of September 4th, 2024. I'm Tag Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show, but this week, we would like to give a special shout out to new weekly tiers, Andrew G. and Nicholas C., as well as current weekly tiers, Cam A. and Bonnie P. for continuing your support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, plus all sorts of fun perks, like right now we actually have a live stream going of us recording this episode this week for our AP and above listeners and supporters, head on over to dlweekly.net/support to become an official weekly tier.
Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
Details of the new shopping space near the Downtown Disney live stage have been announced. Coming to the location is Avengers Reserve, a Marvel-themed store featuring collectibles, apparel, accessories, toys, and comics. D-Lander Shop will be a boutique celebrating fashions for Disneyland fans with accessories, apparel, and jewelry. Elsewhere in Downtown Disney, Marceline's Confectionery is going to expand and receive a new name. The new name is Disney Wonderful World of Sweets. The location will offer all the same goodies as before, but also have freshly made caramel corn.
I am excited about all of the above. First off, for some reason, it felt to me like the Avengers Reserve shop and also the D-Lander shop came out of nowhere. I was not expecting there to be two new, like, Disney-owned and operated merch stores coming into Downtown Disney. So that was really, really exciting. We love Disney merch, as everyone knows. So more merch, the better. And the thing that's nice, too, is I think maybe these shops will be able to kind of take some of those items out of other stores to make room for more stuff. Does that make sense? Like right now, Avengers, if you're not in Avengers Campus, you can find Marvel stuff kind of like sprinkled around different places, but it's nice to kind of have a spot to be able to find those things. I'm very excited that the sweet shop, we'll call it for now, in Downtown Disney is expanding. The artwork on it looks very whimsical. Like, it makes me feel like this is Disney's version of Willy Wonka, like that kind of fun themed candy shop in Downtown Disney. I'm hoping that there's going to be like some, I don't know, like interactive fun, cool elements in addition to just having the windows where you can watch them make and create all the goodies. I am a little sad that they're dropping the name and that the location is being renamed, because I really enjoyed the tie-in to Walt's boyhood hometown of Marceline, Missouri with this place. But I do like that they do still have a Walt nod here, with it being the Wonderful World of Sweets, kind of like Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color.
I think that people are just going to call this like the Disney candy store, because nobody's going to call it Disney Wonderful World. You know, just like when guests don't ever call things the full names of anything either. I'm interested in this. If it does like a Willy Wonka kind of thing, that'd be really cool.
Are you getting that kind of vibe from the...
A little bit.
A little bit?
I had heard somewhere that like some of the inside stuff seemed a little more whimsical, so we'll see.
I'm excited.
The other shops, I was telling Teresa this earlier, it's kind of interesting, is I thought that there was going to be more third-party shops here, and these are more like owned and operated by Disney shops, which you were happy about. Mm-hmm. I would have thought that Disney would have just liked to have these as tenant spaces to get rent from them, but that is what it is. Avengers Reserve, I think we have a lot of Avengers stuff around, and I don't know if we need a whole nother store, but I guess there's not a lot of Avengers stuff outside the park, I suppose. The other one that I'm really excited about is I like this idea of this D-Lander shop, because it seems very Disneyland fan-centric, so I'm kind of excited about it. On the concept art, it does say Pandora, which is probably where the jewelry comes in. The description of it makes me not be as excited about it because I'm not like a fashionable person, I guess you would say. Their description is a fresh, quintessentially Southern California boutique celebrating trend-forward fashions for Disneyland fans, offering a stylish collection of apparel, accessories, and jewelry. I'm like, just give me some Disneyland-only branded things that you can't get anywhere else. You can only get at Disneyland, and that's not stuff that when you go to Disney World is the same thing, but it says Disney World on it. Give me just Disneyland stuff.
That might be what this is, because, right, boutique usually means it's more unique and not just kind of something you could find just anywhere. So, I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious if these shops will kind of help relocate and then free up space in other existing shops, either in downtown Disney or in the parks themselves. There's also a slime cart that's coming this fall, which slime is like a thing. I have not played with slime, but I know that it's become very, very popular. So it's, how sweet. It's a mom-owned business, but all sorts of different slime concoctions and toys in different textures and colors and scents are going to be coming to that. I'm also super excited about the restaurants coming to downtown Disney.
Those are a little ways off, though.
They are.
Like, probably not 2025.
Still fun and exciting. There's a steakhouse and a barbecue restaurant from a Michelin star chef, Joe Isidori, that are both coming. And yeah, super, super excited and can't wait to hear more about
I was a little disappointed, too, because of the fact that they released concept art for the new Earl of Sandwich location that'll be kind of there by the Downtown Disney Live stage. It gives me duplicate copies of Jazz Kitchen, and I don't know how to feel about it. I want more color. I like the darker, like reds and stuff of Earl of Sandwich from before.
The inside concept art, though, looks cool.
Yeah,
I like the darker wood tones that they have for the inside concept art, and just like the booths and the styling of the different chairs.
Tavern is what it's going to be. So
that's an all new table service concept. On the second floor will be the Carnaby Tavern, and then the Earl of Sandwich, like we know it, is going to be on the first floor.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad they're finally getting a permanent location that they won't get evicted out of for a while.
Yes, very exciting. Well, a Halloween tradition is expanding this year. Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit, which was in downtown Disney previously, has now expanded into Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. For $9.99, guests can get a game board to hunt for pumpkins painted as different characters scattered around the resort. Return with the completed card and get a small Halloween sipper cup. If you would like, there's also a pin set this year of the cups, so of the little prizes, and the pins can be purchased as a set for $39.99.
I just want to say one of the unique locations for this time that I had not seen before is in a planter that is part of the light post, which, because like they used to have one like Tortilla Joe's, which like I don't think they have anything on there anymore. No. So they've put some things in different places. Plus they should probably move it around, you know, if it's a yearly thing. I do like the idea of there being these pin set that you can get that I kind of wish that instead of the sipper, you could apply $10 of the sipper cost to the pins, because I'd rather get the pin set. But this is pretty nice. They're different than before. You like these
I love these little like scavenger hunt games. I know that they're geared towards kids, but dang, they're just fun.
For everybody,
they are for everyone. They are for everyone, but they're super, super fun. I always enjoy doing these.
What do you think about it now, not only being something that, like, let's say you lived in Southern California and you had small children. Before, you could just go to downtown Disney and get the whole thing just in downtown Disney. Now you actually have to be able to get into the park to complete it.
But see, someone that's doing this.
Oh, the game boards are for all
separate.
three.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I understood it as being separate. So you could do like the one for Disneyland, the one for DCA, the one. So there's 3 games now that you can play instead of just one. I was going to say, I don't think it's one game the one game board you bop around to all of the different.
Okay,
that's a lot of ground to cover, obviously.
Well, that's what I was thinking, and so I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no.
I was okay. So now here's my devious thought that I had while I was writing the story. The devious thought I had is, Disney's taken something and they've made it so it encourages more people to go in. But
I think what we're forgetting is all these different hunts got shifted to downtown Disney when the parks were closed during the pandemic.
Sure.
Whereas before, it was part of the parks too. And I don't know if maybe, I can't remember if it was as big as this one where it's 3 separate games.
Sure.
But yeah, so they used to be in the parks as well, but just more recently they'd only been in Downtown Disney. So I think it's fine, especially if you've got the option. So if you don't want to go in the park, you can still play along and have a fun activity for just $10.
Yeah.
And get a little prize at the end.
I mean, I think it's nice that, because $10 you could just get the Sipper, but then you also get this cool game that you get to do with it too. So it's nice. I like it. Well, the reimagined Coco show in Disney California Adventure premiered last week with some changes. The show has removed the live musicians, but kept the live singers. It's still a great show, but without the mariachi divas providing the live music. That's the name of the performing band that would be there. Another change has come to the schedule of the Viva Navidad Street Party. The show will be offered on select days only, not the daily performances as has been the previous years, which that's a great show too.
So I watched somebody's filming of the Coco show because I was curious for myself how the changes may or may not impact, because it used to just be one person kind of telling the story along with characters, and so like Miguel came out as kind of like the star in a character. This is nice though, because you've got 2 storytellers that are telling Miguel and Miguel's family story. So they talk about the different characters, so like Abuela, the Tios and Tias, all that. They talk about all the different characters. They talk about like the ofrenda and kind of give you it's a really nice, almost consolidated, condensed version of the film.
Sure.
In this little show. And of course, Miguel does come out again. Dante is out in his Alebrije form. There's still dancers. It's still like really fun. It was really interactive. There was different parts of the show that they had kids kind of come and do different things. They talk about how the family is shoemakers, so it's just a consolidated version.
And it's up on a little stage.
Yep. There's for parts of it. Yeah. But it's just kind of it's nice. It's still fun. Do I miss that they don't have the mariachi divas playing music live? Yes, I think that was just a really cool and fun touch. Now it's just recorded stuff. The other neat thing too is the performers all kind of come out from a different way. So it's almost kind of like they're coming out from the side down by the Silly Symphony swings, like they're coming towards the space that way.
Sure.
And so they're kind of welcoming people and encouraging people to come see the show, instead of before you kind of like stood around in front of the front entrance area of the Plaza de la Familia, and they just kind of came out from like the backstage area right there and then put on the show. So it's a little bit more, I don't want to say organic, but it's just a little different. Like it feels like something that maybe you'd encounter not in a Disney park. Does that make sense? It doesn't feel as like planned and staged as other things have. Yeah.
Of course, SnackChat, which we have linked in the show notes to the article that talks about this, said that Disney seems to be limiting the budget that they are spending on live entertainment in the parks right now. And so Mariachi Divas being cut seems to be a victim of that. And the same thing with the limited performances, because before it was daily performances with all these different people. And I didn't know this. They said that people that were in the Viva Navidad show were like groups that perform outside of Disney, and they just come together to do this, which I didn't know, which explains why sometimes it looks like they're the same people every year, because they're the same groups. So anyway, I hope that more entertainment comes in the future and we aren't as limited, and hopefully that's not really the case, but it could be. There also is a wonderful memory wall and everything inside the Plaza de la Familia that people have written things, memories for loved ones who have passed, which is really kind of cool, and something that I feel like doesn't show up in theme parks very often, but it's pretty cool.
No, but it's very sweet.
Yeah.
Well, the Evil Queen has moved into the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. She's dressed in her old hag form, though, and she's creating the poisoned apple from a large cauldron, which is, of course, made completely out of different treats and food. She is surrounded by spooky trees and has a basket of apples at her feet. As usual, there are hidden Mickeys to be found, 13 in all.
We've seen a lot of these confectionery artistic things in the Grand Californian. I think this is the most, not realistic is not the word. It looks amazing.
It does.
More so even than ones we've seen before.
It's the culinary team. I don't know how but they just keep upping what they're doing year after year, that every year that something comes out, I'm just like, I just feel like I'm blown away by it. Because remember, last year was incredible. Last year was a scene from Coco with the bridge, and you had Miguel and Dante. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, same thing again. They're just knocking our socks off. We saw pictures of this kind of coming into place. The witch in her old hag form and the cauldron were there, but they've been slowly adding more of the background and the landscape. So like the last time I saw an update on this, the spooky trees weren't there. The crow, her little raven crow friend, is also there. I didn't see them before. But yeah, just amazing. And this is something that anybody, you don't have to be someone staying at the Grand Californian to go and see this display. It is in a public space. It's in the lobby there. Highly recommend you go check these out. It's so fun also that they have all the hidden Mickeys planted in these displays too, that you can kind of sit and try and find them. I know, what was it? I think it was for the holidays. It was the gingerbread house.
That was difficult.
It was really tough. And we made some hidden Mickey friends because we were all sitting there trying to find all the hidden Mickeys and helping each other out so that everyone was able to find all of them. But it's always a fun time. But this
cauldron looks rusty.
Yes, it does.
And I don't know how they do it, but it looks amazing. And the old hag looks like the character from the attraction was just taken out and put here.
Or that she just stepped out of the movie.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well
Hats
done.
off to the culinary team, as always. Disney has the best. They have the best horticulture team. They have the best culinary teams for doing stuff like this. It is amazing, and hats off. And they probably don't get enough recognition, but they should get some.
Yes, they should. Well, because like this, the culinary team was planning and putting together not only this display, they were also planning and putting together the gingerbread house in the Haunted Mansion.
Yep.
Wild.
They're always busy doing something. And they're probably planning for next year's already.
Probably.
Well, 2 new characters from Encanto have arrived at Disneyland. Luisa and Isabella, the strong and floral sisters of Mirabel, will be meeting and greeting in the El Zocalo Park near Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. They will only be here for a limited time, so if you are interested in meeting them, act fast.
Act fast is indeed correct. So Luisa made her first appearance on September 1st, and Isabel started meeting and greeting with guests on the 3rd, so today as we record. So both of these characters can be found. It's the exact same spot. There's a little stage right in front of Rancho that Mirabel has been meeting and greeting at for a while. I want to say Miguel from Coco has also been over in this space meeting and greeting, but it is definitely Madrigal themed over there. You've got like a display and like a painting of the whole family. There's flowers. I love the backside of this display because there's some little nods to the Madrigal family back there too. Super fun.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're bringing some more characters on because you know what? They were also great. I love Luisa in the movie, so I'm glad that she's there. I'm sure kids are going to, and adults are going to love seeing them. But again, limited time only, so act fast if you want to see them.
Well, a large area of the west side of Disneyland has reopened. Critter Country, which is soon to be named Bayou Country, has reopened along with the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The area has been repaved with theme walkway, which we love, updated lighting, and an extended section of exterior queue for Winnie the Pooh.
I love what they've done with the theming of this area and things that we were thinking maybe wasn't going to be a thing anymore, which is things like the pavement is really well themed. In some areas, there are some interesting patchworky kind of feels to it, but I feel like once Tiana's opens and everything else opens, I'm hoping that it'll make a little more sense with the other thematic elements. But it looks really nice.
Even to the point, I need to point this out. If you look at the new ground, so it's supposed to be like mud, you'll notice that there are even tire tracks in the mud from Tiana's Foods delivery truck.
It's kind of like in
those
Galaxy's
details.
Edge, where
I
they
love
have
those.
Like that stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And then, of course, the stuff around Tiana's that you can see now because this area of the land has reopened looks really good, too. It looks like they're going to have new lighting, light fixtures, a new Lightning Lane redemption area that looks really good. And then, of course, we're just waiting on
Ray's Berets.
Ray's Berets and Lewis's
Critter Co-op.
Yep. So that'll be real fun when that opens up, because Pooh Corner, 2/3 of that whole back store is Pooh's Corner, and it is still open.
So you can still go back there and get your sweet treats.
Yeah.
That's all. It's under construction, so there is, construction walls and kind of some facade work going on. But you can still get in there. The other thing that is really exciting that we can see from over the construction walls of Tiana's Bayou Adventure is they have shade structures that they're putting up. Well, what appear to be shade structures that they're putting up over the exterior queue portion, so that they'll be able to kind of hang stuff to help keep the sun off of those guests waiting, which I think is great.
I am really interested to see, looking at the concept art for Ray's Berets, there is a ton of lightning bugs. And so I'm hoping that they will have that type of stuff for night.
Fireflies.
And the same thing over, as I scroll down to Lewis's Critter Club, that has a lot above there too. So I'm hoping that they put some of these details like in the trees and stuff around it, because I think that would really add, it's something small, but would make a big deal, at least to me.
For sure.
November 15th is a busy day this year. Not only is it the day that Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens, but it is the start of the holidays at the Disneyland Resort. New this year is Santa Claus, meeting and greeting in the Fantasyland Theater, new outfits for Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, and Clarabelle, and Chippendale's Ornament Trail in downtown Disney. Beginning November 19th, Goofy's Kitchen celebrates the holidays premieres at the Disneyland Hotel, and Mickey's Holiday Pajama Party at Storytellers. Whew.
Super, super fun.
And
Plus,
of course, merch and all that.
sorts of different sneak peeks of merchandise. Yeah, I'm very excited. Sounds like we're still the same holiday time parades, still the same Believe in Holiday Magic Nighttime Spectacular, and World of Color Season of Light, of course, is returning too. Same thing, we're getting It's Small World Holiday back, Haunted Mansion Holiday, of course, since it's already open, but Luigi's Joy to the World and Mater's Jingle Jamboree are both returning for the holiday season. We talked a little before about Disney Festival of the Holidays and Disney Viva Navidad. So Festival of the Holidays will be returning, which of course highlights a diverse season of celebrations with all sorts of different flavorful foods and beverages, live entertainment, and more. There will be a Sip and Savor Pass again, which if you're like us and you love trying all the different foods, that is definitely the way to go. But yeah, I'm just so excited. This part of the year, I think, is just there's just a little bit extra like something in the air when you're at the parks during Halloween time and also during the holidays, just because they've got all sorts of extra things. They transform different parts of the resort and really, really embrace the different holidays and holiday seasons. So it's just always so, so fun. I, of course, am very excited about the new offering that Tag mentioned, which is the Chippendale's Ornament Trail Pursuit, because it's like Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit, right? But it's holiday themed now instead. And it looks really, really cute, hunting for ornaments along the way. And it cute. Looks like they haven't said it officially, but to me it looks like they may have teased what the prizes for this little scavenger hunt are going to be, and they're very adorable little ornaments. It looks like there's Mickey on like a train, Minnie riding a train car, and then Chip and Dale both riding their own separate train cars as well. Like, to the point that I'm looking at this, and if I were going to do this, I feel like I would need to do it 4 times because these ornaments look so cute together. They look cute individually, of course, but they look really nice as a set, so I love it.
I actually think I like this snowman collection. This
of the merch?
Snowman ears. There's something that's calling to me in these. Look at these. They're cute. Are these the build your own ears?
They are. Nope, those are not build your own. Those are just fun little snowman themes.
That is cute. They don't have a bow, so I think they're unisex. So that would be something cool. Yeah, holidays, like you said, always great at the Disneyland Resort.
Yes.
If you have the opportunity ever in your life to do that, I highly recommend going and experiencing the holidays at the Disneyland Resort. There is a sweet spot between the week before Thanksgiving is pretty good because, like, you don't get the initial rush of everybody. It's kind of close this year, though. But you don't get the initial rush of everybody coming to experience the holidays, but it's before, like,
I think it might be a little bit different this year since you've got Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening on the 15th. You might see a busier early holiday time than we have in years past.
And right before Christmas, I think, is usually pretty good. But the week between Christmas and New Year's is usually really busy. But since they've been changing stuff with the passes and stuff, I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think last year they might have even said that that's like actually a decent time to go now because so many things are blocked out.
Well, we've got a couple of updates from around the parks. The Jungle Cruise will undergo a $600,000 refurbishment to fix the tiger scene in the attraction that has been covered now for a while. The refurbishment could also address some other areas of the attraction that could use some TLC. There is also a lot of work going on and around the Cozy Cones in Cars Land. No seating area currently in that section while the work is being completed. You can still get cheer cones to get all your favorite goodies, like the Paradise soda, which is so good.
You're like all about the Paradise.
You can get to your churro cone. You can get to all of the cones. It's just a little more tricky to have an area to sit to enjoy your goodies.
I am curious what they're doing here because this large section of walls, like right in the middle of the Cozy Cones, have been up, and then that whole seating area is really. And I've seen people have gotten pictures and video and stuff like between the cracks, and it's just kind of like they're redoing the landscaping there. But I feel like it's got to be more than that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Time will tell once the walls are down. We'll see. We'll see what it was they were working on.
I wonder if this is prep work for like Avengers Campus stuff.
Maybe. We will find out.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
I am Groot.
What do you mean you're hungry? Kraglin needs those pots for the rehydrator. We don't have time for snacks.
I am Groot.
Were you talking to Tag and Teresa again? How'd they even get a hold of you?
I am Groot.
Fine. One snack. That's it.
I am Groot.
No, I haven't seen any churros. You gotta talk to Vern. And stop smiling.
Well, this week for SnackChat, we are going to talk about a couple locations back in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We're going to talk about Kat Sokka's Kettle and Ronto Roasters. Now, Teresa has ruined Kat Sokka's for me because
I have?
Way back in the day, she called it Kat Ska's.
Oh.
And every time I say Kat Sokka's Kettle, I want to say Kat Ska's. And I've never actually eaten there. Have you ever gotten popcorn or anything from there?
No, we have not. Which they have a lot of different like snacks, basically. It's like a snack station, but mostly it's like popcorn type things. But there's been all sorts of different themed, whether it's specialty this or that items as well. But currently on Kat's menu, we've got...
You wouldn't even say the last name.
Kat Sokka's Kettle. There you go. Currently, we have Jogan Seed Oi Oi Puff. I would go there just so I could say these names because it's fun. But it's green. It's a green cream puff with green crunch and ube cream. That actually sounds delicious. So sounds like a more of a desserty item than a savory snack. But yeah, a green cream puff with green crunch and ube cream. Yum.
That does sound good. Mm-hmm. They have the crate butter popped grains with crate red salt. So that's like a popcorn with red salt, which sounds
super
visually
fun.
It could be kind of cool.
You can get that in a Droids Parts premium vessel. You could also there's a Kublob spiced savory popped grains. So it's mild spicy Cajun seasoning with a hint of sweet lemon on your popcorn.
I have
Look at this drink.
Yes, a Dathomir Sprint slush, watermelon and lemon lime slush, popping spheres, and strawberry cream. This doesn't look like it's listed as like a limited time.
No.
I need to look on the app.
Sound. I'm disappointed in us, Tag. Why have we not checked out cat tacos?
I thought all they sold was like popcorn, and I just didn't care about the popcorn.
This stand is located in Galaxy's Edge. Depending on where you're going, it's in the marketplace.
It's right next to Ronto Roasters.
Yep, it's right around the corner from Ronto Roaster, so it's the opposite end of the marketplace than where the restrooms are, if that makes sense. Same side of the market as Ronto Roasters is. But if you've ever done a mobile order at Ronto Roasters and you're waiting at the counter there, right to your left is where Cat Saka's is. It's tucked further back, so it is a little bit easier to kind of miss because it is kind of more in the stall area, kind of like the shops are. Mm-hmm. So it is tucked further back, so you got to keep your eyes open.
Well, something you don't have to keep your eyes open for, because if you are walking down through the marketplace, you'll run right into it, is Ronto Roasters, which is one of our favorite places to eat in the park, especially for breakfast.
We, no joke, probably eat here at least once every trip.
Yes, because it's so good. For breakfast, they have the Ronto Morning Wrap, which is scrambled eggs, grilled pork sausage, shredded cheddar, peppercorn sauce wrapped in a pita. I will tell you, I'm not usually a fan of like eggs, because when they scramble them, like I like a hard scramble, so like it's like dry. They cook them pretty well, and this peppercorn sauce I think really makes this in the morning. It is so good.
And I'm a really, really big fan of the Ronto-less garden wrap, which is the plant-based option here. It is available for breakfast and lunch and dinner, but it's a plant-based sausage with a spicy kimchi slaw, sweet pickled cucumber, a plant-based gochujang spread wrapped in a pita. It is delicious.
And
I'm just going to say pairs really, really well with a black calf from
the place we'll talk about next time.
From next week's place. But oh man, that's like one of my that's like my favorite go-to breakfast.
Two of the beverages that they have right now is the Tatooine Sunset, which is Gold Peak unsweetened tea, Minute Maid lemonade with melon and blueberry.
There's also a Melu Run juice, which is pineapple juice, Minute Maid lemonade with blueberry, cranberry juice, lemon juice, and desert pear.
And
we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the main event. The Ronto wrap.
Yes.
It is roasted pork, grilled pork sausage, peppercorn sauce, tangy slaw, all wrapped up in a pita. It is delicious. One of our biggest pieces of advice to people that are going to Disneyland, maybe for the first time or for the first time since Galaxy's Edge is open,
Ronto wrap.
You got to try a Ronto wrap. And if roasted pork, grilled pork sausage isn't your thing, you got to try a Ronto-less garden wrap.
I think
excellent.
Next time we go, maybe, I might get the Ronto-less one, because I've tasted yours and I like it. Yeah, but it's tough because the regular one is so good as well, and the breakfast one is so good. Yeah. Like, you could eat here for like every meal in the park and be happy, because you could do the breakfast one in the morning, then you could do the garden one for the afternoon, and then you could do the regular one for dinner.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
They also have a regular, just plain old black calf, not the cold brew, just a regular black calf, regular coffee as well at that location. I enjoy this location a lot.
Galaxy's Edge has some fantastic food options.
It
for sure
certainly does.
Well, it's that time again for our friend Eric over at Concierge to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concierge, and welcome to the D180. While Teg and Teresa cover all things Disneyland in the D180, we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We begin our journey this week in Walt Disney World, where the spooky season is nigh. If you could see behind me right now, you'd see a large skeleton with some cobwebs hanging behind me in my tiki room / recording studio. That's because my wife and I subscribe to the Halloween decoration schedule of the Disney parks. Yes, we celebrate the spooky times from the moment of the first Mickey's Not So Scary Party at the Magic Kingdom. Although Oogie Boogie Bash is also crept into August as well. Plenty of creepy crawly fun to go around. Yay! All of this is leading to me telling you fine folks about the treats coming to Disney Springs. Yes, the East Coast gets fun stuff too. Eclairs, decorated with Jack and Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas, a truly perfect small cake decorated with candles, and a tiny Madame Leota, a chocolate biscuit with chocolate mousse, and raspberry sauce that looks for all the world like a dark rose. Oh, the ganachery and patisserie and all sorts of fancy snack places are putting in some serious effort here. One of my favorite haunts, Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar, that's the place themed after Indiana Jones's friend from Raiders of the Lost Ark, has a few new drinks to celebrate too. Do you love a quality old-fashioned, but you also wish you were sipping on a pumpkin-spiced latte? There's a booze for that. Hey, there's also a rum drink with spiced pear and Kahlua mudslide complete with dirt pudding-style gummy worms in it. Sign me up for the pistachio and cheesecake soft serve swirled into the Maleficent cone at Swirls on the Water. There are plenty of locations packed with new and classic treats that you need to explore to believe. Speaking of exploration, let's head back to one of my favorite topics in the National Geographic Expeditions area. Private tours are the style in 2025, so get yourself to one of our agents for a reservation. Whether you're touring by jet around the entire globe or just to a specific location, we have you covered. One of the newer additions to the Nat Geo tours is a trip that starts in China. Visit pandas in their native habitat. Next up, head to Rwanda and Madagascar for gorilla and lemur observation. Explore a safari in Sri Lanka and Kenya. Cool off in a snorkeling adventure in the Maldives. These adventures are not for the faint of heart, people. Adventures by Disney and National Geographic will literally take you around the world and back. What an incredible opportunity to experience all this planet has to offer. Give concierge a call ASAP to find out which adventure is right for you. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you'd like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both the Sweep Spot and Concierge. Then reach out to Lynn, your personal travel planner. He looks forward to planning something special for you and your family. For Concierge, I am Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you would like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both DLWeekly and us, their official travel planners, Concierge. We look forward to planning something special for you and yours. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Thanks, Eric.
Pilots, we've detected some producer questions near Jakku. Report to your DLWeekly vessels and make the jump to hyperspace. The 7-7 Squadron will provide support during your trivia mission. Good luck, and may the Force be with you.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we have some awesome listener-submitted questions, a couple names that I haven't seen before. How are you feeling about your trivia knowledge tonight?
Great as always.
I love the optimism. Teresa laughing and Tag optimistic, and it's going to be...
Optimizing?
Optimizing, yes.
Optimizing?
Yes, optimizing. Is that a word?
I don't know.
We're going to make it a word.
It is now.
It's in Trivia Land. Any word can be a word if we make it a word. All right, well, let's see how you do. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Shelley E. Who was the first person, not a cast member or an Imagineer, to ride Splash Mountain?
Oh.
The first civilian, if you will.
They were, This is tough, because the only story I know about this is on the Sweep Spot, our friends Lynn and Ken.
That's all I can think of.
Ken wrote it. I don't think Ken was working there at the time.
No, he wasn't. He was like young.
Ken Pellman. That's what I'll say.
We'll go with Ken. I like it.
I mean, what else? I mean, it's silly for us to like Jane Anderson. I mean, I don't know. Ken Pellman.
That's the only thing I could think of too. Is I know Ken was
him and his friends.
Yeah, was one of the. They were definitely like opening day riders, kind of a thing.
Yep.
We had Ken on the show, and he and I talked about that. Ken was on the show when Tag was in Europe last summer, so that was back on episode 292 that we had Ken from Sweet Spot on talking about Splash Mountain.
So, final answer, Ken Pellman.
Ken Pellman, yep.
All right.
And if it's not him, shout out to the Sweet Spot.
That's true.
Excellent.
It should have been him. No.
Excellent. All right. Well, your second regular round question from Kavehi S. According to the sign in front of Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, this entity has special mystic powers with which he made the sun keep regular hours.
Oh,
my goodness.
I'm really bad at remembering all of the different names. I can see the sculpture.
What does it look like?
It's to the. I want to say it's to like. If
Not
here's the entrance,
where is it? What does it look like?
Well, it's a carving. It's got a sundial.
Okay.
Like with it, it's and it's to the left of the.
So
entrance.
if you know Polynesian gods, you'd probably know this.
The only name that's sticking out in my head from the like Tiki Room pre-show spiel is I think it's Rongo.
Well, there's Tongaroa Roo.
Nope.
And Tongaroa something else, because Roo's like the other one.
No, it's like the one that's sticking out in my head's like it starts with an R, like Rongo.
Okay.
That's my final answer.
Rongo, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you're not Rongo.
Oh, jeepers. Well, what's your answer?
Tongaroa Roo, because why not? It's probably wrong. I can almost guarantee it's wrong, but I at least know that I'm pretty sure that's one of the names there.
Okay, so we're saying Tongaroa Roo and Rongo?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Final answers.
I think so.
Excellent. Your third regular round question from listener Stasia S. Which Disney parks have a Thunder Mountain ride in them?
Which Disney parks? Well, we've got Disneyland. We've got
Magic Kingdom.
Disneyland Paris.
Mm-hmm. Tokyo Disneyland.
Is it Tokyo?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's it, because I don't think
too.
there is one in Shanghai, and I don't think there's one in Hong Kong. Yeah. And that's all the parks, right? Yeah. Yeah. Tokyo, Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, Paris.
And is that your final answer?
I think so.
All right. And your fourth and final regular round question from listener Abby B. On Halloween night 2007, Disneyland dedicated the Frontierland oak tree near the Golden Horseshoe to what famous writer in celebration of the 25th anniversary of his novel? And what is the name of the novel?
The name of the novel, isn't it The Halloween Tree? And it's Ray Bradbury.
And is that your final answer?
Yeah.
And your bonus question tonight from listener Brian K. In the queue for Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, there is a recipe for the dip.
Oh.
What is the recipe, including ingredients and proportions?
Jeepers.
We had this before because I remember the movie because it was acetone,
Is it
turpentine, benzene.
But I don't remember what the parts are.
2 parts acetone.
2 parts.
And 1 part the other ones.
Benzene.
So you're saying 2 parts acetone, 1 part benzene, 1 part turpentine?
Yeah.
And is that your final
I'm pretty
answer?
sure we at least have the ingredients right.
I think that might be all we have, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's your final answer?
I think so.
So that was 2 parts acetone and 1 part benzene and 1 part turpentine.
Correct.
Or turpentine.
Correct.
Whichever way you're pronouncing it. All right.
Which doesn't that make basically like paint remover, like it would remove paint off the thing? Isn't that like the whole idea?
Turpentine? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure each one of those is a
like
paint thinner.
Paint thinner remover.
Or like a paint remover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Stick around until after the discussion and we can all find out together.
Most weight loss plans are one size fits all, but Noom builds personal plans that meet your needs. Noom takes into account dietary restrictions, medical issues, and other personal needs to build a plan that works for you. Noom is built for your psychology and your biology. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain. But it also takes into account your unique biological factors, which also affect weight loss success. The program helps you understand the science behind your eating choices and why you have cravings. Everyone's journey is different, so your daily lessons are personalized to you and your goals. Noom helps you build new habits for a healthier lifestyle. To date, Noom has helped more than 5.2 million people lose weight. Noom's flexible program focuses on progress instead of perfection. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. And check out Noom's first ever cookbook, The Noom Kitchen, for 100 healthy and delicious recipes to promote better living. Available to buy now wherever books are sold. Individual results may vary. Visit our website at Noom.com for more information.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are welcoming on a Disney author who is coming out with their newest book, Fairy Godmother, at the beginning of September here. Please welcome Jen Calonita to the show. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
We are super excited to chat with you. So you've written quite a few different Disney books, and some of them are the Twisted Tales, which I know we have a lot of fans of Twisted Tales. I don't think I mentioned this to you, Jen. We actually, our podcast, like listeners, we have a little book club that we do, and we've done many of the Twisted Tales in our little book club. So small world. But yeah, they're so fun.
Well, thank you. It's really fun to write some of the Twisted Tales. I love these Disney movies, so to get to be part of it in some small way and create a new story with characters we all love it's just great. It feels like if there was like an Oscar for like writing for Disney, this is what it would feel like for me. I feel very honored I get to be part of it.
That's amazing.
Well, yeah, and of course you get to be part of this universe that Disney has created with their characters and stuff, and so that's really cool. Well, let's get started like we do with all of our guests. Tell us your Disney story. What got you interested in Disney, or we're a Disneyland podcast, so I don't know what your things with the parks are, but share that as well. And you can be as detailed as you like with it, so it could be drawn out or short or whatever.
My first trip to Disney was when I was 8. I have a younger sister, and I just remember, my dad was a letter carrier. He saved all year. We live in New York. I lived in New York then, too, and we flew down to Florida. And that was back when Delta used to, actually, probably wasn't even Delta. All the airlines did kids fly free.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So it was very exciting. And I immediately fell in love with the parks. And we went a few times as kids. But I will say when I got married and had kids of my own, my husband and I became DVC members, and we were going more than once a year from New York. And it just was so different seeing it through our kids' eyes. And my kids had so many firsts in Disney. Like my oldest said his first word, hot, on It's a Small World. We kept going on because it was something he could go on. He was 10 and a half months old. So I just kept saying hot when you'd see the sun in the ride. And he then one ride said hot. We were all very excited. My younger one walked for the first time in front of the tree at the Wilderness Lodge, which has always been our favorite resort. I like to joke if we ever renew our vows, I'd love to do them down in Walt Disney World. We took the kids a few years ago. We'd been to Disneyland ourselves, but we took them for a few years ago for the first time. And dare I say I like Disneyland better? Is that
You're saying it to the right people.
This is a safe space, Jen. This is a safe space.
I had been before, but there was just something about going with teenagers, the ease of the two parks, the ease of hopping back and forth. At the time, Rise of the Resistance was still, the virtual queue. And every morning I was, 6:57, 6:58, just refreshing. And we got it every day. And so we just kept hopping back and forth. And just the nostalgia, the rides that Disneyland has that Disney World doesn't have. I just, I fell in love with it. I can't wait to go again.
Disneyland's just like a hug. That's the best way to describe it. It's like a hug. You just feel like comfort, and it's just different. There's nothing, we're not saying that there's anything wrong with any of the other parks. They're awesome for their differences too. But yeah, there's just something a little bit different about Disneyland.
Yes. We all loved it. We've taken the kids to Disneyland Paris after Disneyland, and we're in Paris, and they both go, I liked California better. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Like, we're in Paris.
Good problem to have, but I kind of agree. So
that's too funny. Well, Jen, when you guys go visit the parks, whether it's the Magic Kingdom or Disneyland or Disneyland Paris, do you have a certain way that you like to go? So basically, when you get to the hub, do you like to go towards Adventureland, towards Fantasyland? Is there a way you like to kind of attack the park?
Yeah, I would say it's always Adventureland because if we're in Florida, we're trying to rush through Adventureland to either get to Pirates or straight back to Splash Mountain, although we haven't ridden it yet now as Tiana's Bayou, but I can't wait. But in Disneyland itself, we were, right there for rope drop because the kids had never been on the Indiana Jones ride. And we were like, we need to be on there immediately. And they loved it. And my younger one is really into rides and watching all the ride videos. And he's like, I think this is the same track as Dinosaur. And he loves Dinosaur. I think he might be right.
It is.
It is.
It is.
That was really, really good pickup on their part. Because, it is. It feels so different, though, because they did such different things with it. But, it's the same system and it's the same track.
And now the Dinosaur is closing in Florida and they're putting Indiana Jones in. We're like, is it just going to be, are they going to change it? Is it going to be the same track? Or, we're fascinated.
That's awesome.
The follow-up to this question that kind of goes with it that we didn't ask was, one of the things that people have been sharing as part of this question is, do you have a tunnel preference? Like when you get through the gate and then there's the two tunnels next to the train station, is there a side that you generally go through?
Yeah, we always go right. And ever since my kids were born, my husband lets me go first, and it would either be with the stroller or the kids because I must have a back shot going through the tunnels taken every trip. So we have them all through the year. So we always go right. I don't know.
Wow.
Awesome.
We also go right, for sure.
You do. Okay.
All right, last pre-interview question, then we'll have one that we wrap up at the end. So what is your favorite attraction? So even though this is a Disneyland podcast, it could be an attraction from any Disney park around the world.
And we're also nice. You can pick more than one if you'd like.
Okay. It's funny. I had a hard time with this, but I will tell you, and again, I don't know how this is going to go over with people, but I love the Incredicoaster. I know it was redone as the Incredicoaster, but we went on that so many times. But I also love the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I think we went on 8 times in a row because there was no line.
Wow.
And, my younger one loves Tower of Terror. He's obsessed. Love the Paris version too. But even he had to admit the Guardians one is just so much fun. And so I love that. I love it.
There's something about the Guardians version because I really enjoyed the Tower of Terror. And when they announced that they was switching, both Tag and I were kind of like, what? But then the first time I wrote it, I was like, okay, I get it. Like it's the same, but not the same by any means, because you're just I laugh so hard that I'm crying when I'm on that attraction because it's just so fun. The music, the bouncing feeling, all of that's just great. Tag, on the other hand, had a little bit different experience his first time.
We just had a bad first time, and ever since then, I have been not a fan of it. Well, because I liked Tower, and I knew what to expect with Tower, and we had our first exchange student that we've ever had. And we went on there, and I was trying to act cool, and don't worry about it. We don't get launching until later because nope, it launches right at the beginning. And ever since then, I've been like, no.
Yeah, so ever since that, he just doesn't trust Guardians the same because it's unpredictable. Versus Tower was the exact same.
Well, Tower, you got in and the doors closed and it backed up, and then it gently took you to the first show scene, and then you kind of had that, and then it took you to the second show scene, and then it started doing all the craziness.
I guess Rocket's in charge of this version, and there's no predicting what he's going to do. But
no,
maybe that should be my thing too, because I love Rocket, and so maybe I feel betrayed by Rocket as well.
That's probably what it is.
Maybe that's it.
But Radiator Springs Racers also just was, we'd never, that was amazing too. It was just amazing. I felt like I was in the Cars movie. So
that whole land is just incredible.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, let's get down to the meat of it. So this is always fascinating to me. Now you are the second official Disney author that we have talked to, which is mind-blowing. We feel so honored to have you, and of course we had Alexandra on earlier. And I just think it's how does one because I feel like this is a thing that not a lot of people get to do. So can you kind of tell us how you got to be invited to be a Disney author to write for the Twisted Tales series?
Yes, absolutely. So I feel like, a lot of times people will reach out and they'll say, how does this happen? And I will say every Disney author I've met has been connected with Disney in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I wrote this middle grade series with Source Books Publishing called Fairy Tale Reform School. And it was very much inspired by the fact that I always loved Disney Cinderella as a kid, but I always wanted to know what happened to the Wicked Stepmother after the movie. I was worried she went to fairy tale jail. I thought that the Wicked Stepsisters were going to grow up and be so bitter that they were going to become huge villains, way worse than like Maleficent or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to know what would happen if the Wicked Stepmother redeemed herself. So I wrote this series, Fairy Tale Reform School. And in my author bio in the back of the book, the first book, I believe, actually said, Jen has always wanted to kick Cinderella out of the castle at Walt Disney World and move in. Well, lo and behold, an editor at Disney read the series because I guess they're always looking for, people who like fairy tales and have, I guess, the writing style they're looking for at Disney. And she read it. She saw the author bio and she contacted me and she said, how would you like to write the Snow White Twisted Tale? And I was just over the moon. I was over the moon. So, I mean, and it's so funny because Snow White is probably, I wouldn't say she's my favorite of the princesses. Like I've always said to the kids, she bothers me on so many levels because we teach kids, like, don't take candy from strangers. And she takes the apple and she told her not to open up the cottage and she opens up the cottage. And I was like, Snow, pay attention. So I will say when I wrote the book, my first draft, I thought I'm going to make Snow this like powerful princess and the dwarves are going to secretly be swordsmen and they're going to teach her how to fight the evil queen. And there's going to be this epic castle battle. And I handed in the book and my editor very sweetly said, I like it, but this is not Snow White's story. And what was a great reminder for me working for Disney, which I have always thought of with every other book I've ever written, is that you have to be true to the character that is already created. You were working off the character that exists. And the Snow White in the movie, right, wrong, or indifferent, she's quiet, she's kind, she talks to animals. They could not envision a Snow who was going to sword fight the evil queen down. So then, and I thought about that, and I just kept rewatching the movie over and over, and I thought, she had a really tough life, and I thought maybe it'd be really cool if maybe her mom was the evil queen's sister, and her mom had been killed by the evil queen, and now the evil queen's after her. And I thought maybe she finally finds a way to speak up for her people and start rallying them to take back the kingdom. So it was a great lesson. It was an interesting learning curve. So, and now I just always remember that when I start plotting a Disney book, like be true to what was created before you. Because that's what fans want anyway. It's not what we want. It's, what do the fans want? What should happen to the characters that already exist?
When you first came on with Disney and you wrote the first book with them, what guidance did they give you? They probably gave you like, well, here's this kind of concept, but like, did you have kind of free reign to kind of do a lot of different stuff, or was it kind of more put out there?
So in the Twisted Tale series, the fun thing about the Twisted Tale series, for anybody who hasn't read any yet, is that every book twists off a moment in the movie, and we use a what if question that changes the whole story. So the only time I've ever had a twist already chosen for me is when I did the Frozen one, Conceal Don't Feel, because when I was asked to write the book, Frozen 2 was coming out months from then. And I think they were like, very afraid. What if this author comes up with a twist that's too much like the movie coming out, which they couldn't tell me anything about. But every other time I've been allowed to pitch a bunch of different twists. And then every Disney movie, or Disney character, I should say, has Disney experts at the company that then read this pitch and say, okay, we could see this working. We see this not working, and here's why. So I pitched a bunch, each time I pitch a bunch of different twists. And when one is approved, then the way the process works, which I actually find very helpful, is that once I have an approved pitch, I will go back and I will outline this story. What do I see happening? Am I creating new characters? What am I doing with the existing characters? And I might do a 15 or 20 page outline working with my editor to fine tune it. And then she sends it off to this expert again, who reads it and says, this is great. here are my notes, and then off you go. And so I'm sure they read it again after you've written the whole thing. I know for Fairy Godmother, I didn't really have any notes. I mean, Cinderella has been around for so long. But whenever I've written a Frozen book, and I've worked on 4, I think those usually go to the film team because, they're always working on something. And the only ever note, they've always been wonderful with me. Sometimes I'll get a note like, I don't think Olaf would say this. And I'd be like, oh, you're probably right, or Olaf, can or can't read, or, whatever it might be. So they're great to work with. And sometimes they have great suggestions as well.
That's amazing that you were writing Conceal Don't Feel as Frozen 2 was also coming out. Yeah, that would be interesting to try and write a story while another story is being created to make sure the two aren't overlapping while not knowing what the film story is going to be.
And my editor knew, she had the privilege of knowing, she was not involved. And so I'd be like, here's what I think happens. Am I right? Turned out I was wildly wrong, but I did really like my idea. But,
maybe it's a future book.
Maybe. And then they gave me half the map of Arendelle because I could not see the forest. And I was like, what is over there? What is behind Wandering Oakens? And so no one would tell me. So I was first in line to see Frozen 2 to see what I was right about, what I was wrong about. So.
Yeah. You're like, this has been chewing away from me too long. I need to know.
Exactly.
That's too funny. All right, so we've covered a little bit of Mirror Mirror. We've just talked a little bit about Conceal Don't Feel. You also did Go the Distance, which was a twist with Hades, he's a wonderful villain that he's kind of more present in the parks. Actually, he's at Oogie Boogie Bash right now. We just talked about that. And I've always enjoyed Hercules, and I've always liked Hades, probably because he's sassy and dramatic. But yeah, let's talk about that one next and talk about the twist for that story.
So the funny thing about that twist was Hercules is one my boys always really enjoyed and would watch a lot. And it wasn't the one that I would turn on if I was sitting home alone. It's not one I would turn on to watch, but I knew it pretty well. And so when the time came to come up with the twist, I said to my editor, I completely know what the twist should be. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, at the end of the movie, here Hercules has spent the whole movie trying to prove to Zeus that he really is his son and he should be a god. And then at the end of the movie, he's like, but you know what? I'm going to stay here on Earth with Meg because I'm in love. And Zeus is like, go ahead, buddy. Stay on Earth. And I was like, the Zeus I know from Greek mythology would be like, no way, get your butt up to Mount Olympus. So I said, I think the twist should be that Zeus says, no, you're a god, you're up here. And then Hera, who in the Disney version is Hercules' mom, says, well, you know what, Meg, I don't know if I trust you. And if you really love my son, I'm going to send you on a quest. And if you pass, then we'll make you a god and you can be with my son. And so it kind of picks up right after the movie where Meg is kind of like, I professed my love. Do I really know what love is? And now I have to go on this quest. And I thought it'd be really fun to make it kind of like a Greek soap opera. So she has to go to the underworld to retrieve the soul of her ex-boyfriend's new wife. And that ex-boyfriend is the one who she gave up her soul for and got trapped with Hades. So it's like this twisted web. She's got to face Hades again. I add Persephone in there from Greek mythology. And I wrote it March 2020. And it's weird to say I enjoyed spending all this time in the underworld, but it was such a nice break from reality to write the story. It was a true gift. And I get to tell scenes from, Meg's point of view. And the book came out and I was tagged in something on Instagram and I realized it was Susan Egan. And she had read the book, and he hadn't even sent her the book. And I'm like, did anybody know she had the book? No one knew she had it on her own. So then I was like, I was so touched that she had posted about it.
Wow.
That was amazing.
That's incredible. Look at that. You got a shout out from a real Disney princess. Well, I guess Meg's not technically a princess. We'll call her a princess for this.
We'll call her a princess.
Honorary princess.
She's on her way to be a god. So there's that. Amazing.
So your Twisted Tales things have been at a certain point in the story, if something was different, and it goes off from there. I'm looking at the description for Fairy Godmother that's coming out soon, and I'm seeing that this is kind of like a prequel if you talk about it like movie terms. which I think is interesting because reading the description, and I'm not saying it's like that at all, like storyline wise, but it reminded me of the fact that like there's a new Wicked movie coming out, which is kind of like telling the like pre-story. And so I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, this is kind of along that vein, but it's Cinderella's fairy godmother and like how she, like who she was, she as a younger person. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I take that as a compliment. I love Wicked. So I had said to the great thing about working with Disney is I have an amazing editor that I can talk to all the time. And I love doing the Twisted Tales. I'm doing another one, which I can't even talk about yet. So I love
That's
doing.
exciting though.
It is exciting. But the thing is, they twist off the movie. And then you have the Serena Valentino series, which is brilliant, which is the villain series. I don't know if you guys have read those.
Yes,
Love them for all the villain origin stories. And I said to my editor, I said, we have the villains telling their story. We have twists on the Disney movies. But, there's all these magic makers in the Disney world. And we don't know how they came to be. And, I was watching Cinderella, during 2020, because it's the movie I always go back to. And I just started thinking about how Fairy Godmother is very confused. Is it because she's older? Why is she so much older? Why is she so pressed for time? What is with the idea of magic ending at midnight? Why does she have no wings? Because when I was thinking of a fairy godmother, I thought she's a fairy, but she has no wings. And I started to imagine who this person was. And I thought, I wonder if she's a human girl who was saved by fairies and became part fairy. And so when you see the cover of Fairy Godmother, you'll see that she's actually like, they kind of hide her away, but you can see just like wisps of her hair as a young girl, because the story starts when she's 16. And we do not go through her whole lifetime. I'm going to explain pretty quickly in the book when she becomes a fairy, why it is when we meet her in Cinderella, she appears so old. There's a reason for that. Crossing worlds can be very taxing, and how you look in the human world can be very different than how you would look in the fairy world, where you have a lot more years. So it was fun. It was just really fun to come up with this story that talked about this girl who desperately wanted to find a way to have the best job in the fairy kingdom, in her opinion, which was fairy godmother. And how does the glass slipper figure into that? What is her connection to Cinderella and everything that goes with it? So my mom reads all my books first, and she goes, oh, this was really heartbreaking in the beginning. I didn't expect that. And she goes, but I loved it. And then there's romance, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of them.
So it sounds like it starts off like a Pixar film where they just tug at your heartstrings. They just go.
Yes, I guess so. I
love it.
We got to make her a fairy. So I'm excited for this one. I can't wait for people to read it. I know some people have already messaged me. They got it at D23 and they've already read it. So I'm watching to see what they think.
That's so fun. I know I'm excited to read this because, I just love, and I think I remember the first time I read Wicked, it was just fascinating to me because you've met these characters, but you're right. How did you get here? Why are you, especially villains, why are you so angry? Right. What happened here? There's obviously some sort of story, and you're just wondering. See, now you got me wondering about Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. What's their, how did they happen? All that stuff. So,
how did Tinkerbell become Peter Pan's sidekick?
Yeah.
How did the magic mirror wind up the magic mirror? There are a lot of people, I post a lot about Fairy Godmother now, and somebody will say, oh, well, Asha from Wish. And I say, I wrote this before there was a Wish. Wish, to me, Wish really was this fun Disney's 100th anniversary nod to all their films. There's Easter eggs in there for, more Disney movies than I could even name. That didn't feel like the story of Fairy Godmother to me. It came after, but I wanted to tell Cinderella's Fairy Godmother story and how she came to be. So it's different. It's not connected to Wish at all.
Yeah. Well, and there's other times where they kind of hint at things that may or may not be, kind of like other things where is it canon or is it not canon? It's just, it could be a fun coincidence and more of an Easter egg thing, or it could actually be, wait a minute, that's how we got the magic mirror. That's how, whatever it was. But yeah. Well, and now I'm wondering, the Enchantress from Beauty and the Beast, what's her deal?
There's a lot of them. How did Maui get that hook? I mean, you go down the rabbit hole. I guess if and people say, "Oh, who's next?" And I can't say who's next yet. I'm writing it now, but I just keep saying, well, hopefully the series does well, and we get to do a lot of them.
And you keep going. Yep.
Mama Odie. I mean, there's so many.
There's a lot. That's a good one too. Yeah. Why are you living in a tree? That's a ship in a tree in the middle of the bayou.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And
what you've done with this, by the way, is I haven't seen Cinderella in a really long time, and now I want to watch Cinderella. And now I'm very excited to read this book because I love the fairy godmother, and I think she's a great character. And now I'm like, I don't know, I've never considered where she came. I don't know. And now I feel like you could easily get sucked into all of these things just because you're answering questions that people didn't even know they had, and then we're like, these are great questions.
I appreciate that. I mean, I was so excited when I said it to my editor, and she was like, "You know what? You're right." And I was like, "I want to tell that story." And I'm so thankful to Disney that they're letting me do it. So I'm very excited for this book to be out in the world. And it's pretty. If people look it up online, you can't even tell. But I was showing you guys before we started that the book has these gorgeous sprayed edges, and it's the same size as the villain's book. So it's got this cute, gifty feel. I feel like it looks pretty on shelves. And we know from Twisted Tales, because authors get this all the time, fans want their books to look the same. Like everything has size. Like the Twisted Tales, there are a few Twisted Tales that are not out in the US yet. I did one about Violet from The Incredibles. And so even if the cover looks the same, they're a different size in their paperback, and it gets fans wild. They're like, that is... Well, I need it in the U.S. And I don't know if those are going to come out in the U.S. and when they will look exactly the same. I'll show you guys. Like I bought myself the French version of Suddenly Super, and theirs it's big. It's like bigger than the regular Twisted Tales, and it has these really cool Incredibles.
Oh, wow. That's neat.
And like a foil cover. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I won't tell my family how much I paid to get it. I was like, my book, I have to have it.
Yeah, for our listeners who can't see anything, the side book, not the spine, the other side.
Yeah, but the pages.
Yeah, the pages have they're dyed ends, and they've got some of the characters from Incredibles kind of
the
white silhouette. It's so silhouettes. Cool.
I don't think I've ever seen like an actual meant to read book look like that. Like I've seen fan art where they do that kind of stuff, but that's amazing.
It's funny. All the Twisted Tale authors were on like a group text chain, so somebody will be like, "Look what I found!" And Elizabeth Lim, who wrote a lot of Twisted Tales, she brought me back Conceal Don't Feel from Japan.
Oh, cool!
Japan, Conceal Don't Feel is actually 2 paperbacks with different covers, and one is of Elsa and one is of Anna, and she brought that back for me, as well as Mira Mira, which is also in 2 parts. So in Japan, they do it differently. So it's really fun to see, a lot of countries, the books look the same everywhere around the world, but there are places where they look different, and we all love to collect them. So, we always, we look for each other, and it's a wonderful little family.
That's so cool. That is cool. Really, really cool. So is Fairy Godmother, is this like one of the first of the Enchanted Tales series?
Yeah, it's the first one.
It is the first.
And the series is called An Enchanter's Tale because
Enchanter
just tried to think of what word would you use or what phrase would you use to sum up, it's not hero, it's not villain, it's not princess, it's not prince. What do we call all these magic makers? And we weren't sure how magic makers would go over. That'd be confusing. So they provide the enchantment in the stories, whether it's their magic or what kind of a hook, Maui's hook, or just the magic mirror's power to persuade and know things. So, we thought they're enchanters. They are the enchanters of the story. So each one is an enchanter's tale.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And then it looks like I'm on the website. It looks like that this isn't the only Disney book series that you've gotten to write stuff for. I see that there's a couple that are Frozen ones. So can we talk about, I'm looking at Frozen Polar Nights, Cast into the Darkness. Can we talk about that real quick?
So Polar Nights is a standalone. It takes place after Frozen 2, and it was written by myself and Mary Mancusi. Mary Mancusi is her first U.S. Twisted Tale is coming out this October. It's Sally's Lament. It's there before Christmas Twisted Tale.
Yeah.
We are so excited for her to, be part of the U.S. Twisted Tale family. She's a huge Nightmare fan. So when Disney asked us if we, Mary and I both love Frozen. So they asked us to write this story, and it was a few years ago. I think it was 2021. She lives in Texas. I live in New York. And we thought, okay, we're doing the whole thing on Google Docs, Zoom, and FaceTime. And then she said, I think it should take place, we should do Elsa Anna's point of view. And we were both quiet for a moment. And I was like, I really want to do Anna. I'm an Anna. I'm a little clumsy. I have a lot of heart. I talk too much. And she goes, I'm Elsa. I am definitely an Elsa. So it was perfect. So it's a great story. It's a great story about the sisters working together to figure out what this monster is that has come to Arendelle. It's called a Draugr. It's part of Norse mythology. I kind of liken it to a zombie that can steal your memories and control the weather. And so they have to figure out how to get this Draugr to leave town. And so we had a lot of fun working together. And now I will say every time either one of us is working on a Disney book, we're dying to team up again. But whenever we're writing our own, since we're both such big Disney fans, I'll be like, I have a plot problem. Or she'll be like, I have a question. And so then we'll call each other and hash it out because, we worked so well together. We like to have each other in our corner.
That's very cool.
That is cool. I see, looking at the same list that Teresa's looking at, that, yes, you obviously love the Frozen universe because there's quite a bit of Frozen stuff. It looks like you have at least one Frozen-themed from the Lost Legends
before
series.
we get to that take, can we talk about All Is Found, and then we can there's a lot of Lost Legends.
Yes.
All Is Found is a Frozen 10th anniversary anthology that Mary Mancusi actually edited with our editor who did the Frozen books, Heather Knowles. And those are 10 short stories for 10 years of Frozen. I got to write one of them. And again, Disney was, so great because they were like, well, what do you want to write? And so you would pitch ideas. And I wrote a Twisted Tale. I will talk about Lost Legends. I've done a Kristoff book. And we did Polar Nights. And I thought, well, what do I want to write about? And I said, well, what I really want to write about, I don't think anybody will let me do. And at the time, we didn't know there was going to be a Frozen 3 or possibly a Frozen 4. And so I said, but I really want to write a story about Elsa and Bolda, the troll, throwing an engagement party for Anna and Kristoff. That's a surprise. And I just was picturing a mother and a mother-in-law, them taking on those roles, both having very different ideas of how the party was going to work. And then Anna being Anna kind of onto them and them trying to keep her away so they can get it done. So I was like, they're going to say no. And they said yes. And so it was like, oh my gosh. So it's this really fun short story with Elsa and Bolda having very different views on how this party is going to work. And Anna and Kristoff being kept away, sent on a mission to do something else, but also kind of wondering what's really going on back at the castle. And it was a lot of fun to write. It's a short story, but there's so many great short stories in there.
So with, as your relationship with Disney kind of, grows and deepens, do they kind of get to know, you as a person and go, oh, Jen really likes Frozen, so we're just gonna, do they kind of get to know what you like as a fan and kind of help align your books and stories to what you kind of gravitate towards as a fan, or has it just been complete luck and coincidence for you?
I think it's a little of both. I think I have always been a really big cheerleader. I talk a lot about my love of Disney. I tell my Disney editors all the time, I'm ready. Whenever you want to give me something else to do, I'm ready, because I really enjoy doing it so much. It's so much fun to me to watch these movies over and over and pull at threads and figure out what you're going to explore as a story. And I think as a fan, I feel this great responsibility. And I know the other authors who do Twisted Tales do as well. We are fans like everybody else. So I don't want to mess this up. I want to give you a story that you hopefully really enjoy. But my story is not the only story, of course. Somebody else could do a Twisted Tale and do something entirely different. But I hope that you can feel the love in the story and that readers read it and think, yeah, she really captured Anna, or she really captured Meg or Violet. And And that makes them want to come back and read more of the stories that I get to contribute to this Disney universe.
Awesome. Is there any, because you're kind of talking about like pulling at threads and stuff, are there any maybe some unexpected twists that you as the author didn't even think were going to happen in some of these tales that kind of stick out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that happens a lot because, you start telling the story, you start getting inside the character's head, and then sometimes, with any book that I write, Fairy Godmother will be my 37th book.
Wow.
So with every book you write, sometimes the characters take on a life of their own, and you think, oh, they wouldn't do that. I was wrong. I shouldn't send them in that direction. I should send them in an entirely new direction. And so that's a lot of fun, too, to play around with and figure out, like, well, how's the story going to change from how I originally envisioned it? And I just like to hear them in my head. And the person I definitely was the easiest to hear in my head was Flynn Rider.
Ooh.
Eugene Fitzherbert. I just felt like I could hear it in my head so well when I was writing him. He was the most fun. Sometimes with Anna, I think I'm being funny, and sometimes they'll get a note where they'll be like, she sounds a little snarky, and I'm like, oh, she's pretty funny. But, like when she's bantering with Kristoff.
Sure.
Sometimes I have to, things will go in a different direction, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I feel like
awesome. I just in the beginning of our conversation when you started, I could see how it'd be very easy to just go down rabbit holes, even if you're just in one lane and looking at one movie and one little part of a character, a character's personality or whatever, and how that could just spur out into so many different things. Because really, when you think about it, the movies are kind of more of an introduction to the characters. There's so much more that goes into who they are as a person and why they are the way they are that we don't get to see it in the film. Even though films are almost 2 hours, you still don't really get to know the full story. You just kind of get a little taste, little introduction.
Absolutely. And the middle grade series that I do, the Lost Legends series, is basically the same thing. It's about Disney heroes as kids. So there are 4 books in the series. The 4th book will be Hercules, Young Hercules, and that's 0 to Hero, and that comes out in October. But those are great for either, I always say, a Disney fan who wants another Disney story, or those are great for our younger readers. I keep them shorter. They're great for 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. And they are just kind of like side stories. I don't call them origin stories. It's like a day in the life of these characters at a much younger age. How did Eugene get the nickname Flynn Rider? And we know, from a line or two in Tangled, but I take that part and I run with it. What was Kristoff like when Boulder the Troll made him go to human school for the first time? What did Aladdin showed up in Agrabah long before Jafar came to town and was looking for the diamond in the rough? So, it's fun to play with those stories. With Hercules, I actually send him on a quest for the goddess Athena, and he works with Theseus. And so, that one was fun because I got to play with Greek mythology and Disney characters as well. I have him team up with, I have Phil in there. I try to pull in nods where I can. So each thing I get to work on for Disney is so different, but so enjoyable.
Is there, you've written a lot across a lot of different characters and different movies. Is there a character or a story that you haven't written yet, but you'd like to? And I don't know if that's something you want to share because somebody will steal it from you or whatever. But is there something that if you could just pick any story that you wanted to write for Disney, is there a story that you'd like to write that you have not written yet?
I'd love to explore. Liz Braswell did a beautiful Twisted Tale on Tangled, and I got to do Flynn at a younger age. But I feel like I would love to do some Tangled stuff. I also feel like I'd love to do something with The Incredibles. I don't know if Violet's story will ever come out in the US, but that was a lot of fun because I had Violet work for Syndrome. That was the twist. What if Violet worked for Syndrome? So I'd love to do something more with The Incredibles. I love Enchanted. I love Giselle. I feel like there's so much backstory there of things we didn't see in the fairy tale world I'd love to play around with. And of course, I would always like to go back to Frozen. I'm always doing more Frozen. Always.
Well, they've done a really great world building, I think, with Frozen. I was one of those weird people that, maybe I wasn't that weird, but the first movie, so many people were so into it, and I didn't see it right when it first came out, and like everybody was into the music, and like it was everywhere, and I kind of got to that point where I was just like, I don't even want to see it because like it can't be as good as everybody's making it out to be. And then I saw it and I thought it was fine. And I actually thought, for me, Frozen 2 I loved. I thought the music in Frozen 2, I mean the music in both is wonderful. But the music, the catchy song from Frozen 2, I was always like, why didn't that catch on as much as Let It Go? Because like that one is, I would listen to that one 100 billion times a day more than Let It Go. But it is kind of that whole world building, and even you've talked about some of your short stories and stuff, and I've really enjoyed some of the like animated shorts that they put on like Disney Plus, like with Olaf. There's like in a lot of those, there's like no words even, but it's telling a story through a different way. So I do like those kind of stories, and I'm glad that you've, as a writer and as a creator, have been able to create in so many different ways and be creative in those ways. So that must be really fun and exciting to be able to do.
Yeah, it's really fun. And with Frozen, I feel like, I was so excited. For the longest time, we were like, oh, I want more. I want more. And Mary and I would say it all the time, like, oh, do you think we'll ever get a Frozen 3? I actually have a comical story because, when we were home so much in 2020 and 2021, I couldn't go out and couldn't promote books. I couldn't do book signings. And so my kids were like, Mom, you have to get on TikTok. And I was like, I don't think anybody wants to watch me on TikTok. And they're like, it's fine. You have to do it. You have to unbox your books and you have to talk about your books. And so they would film me at home. And a lot of times they would help me film them. And then there were a few times I'd go rogue and I'd do one on my own. So one day I did one on my own and they both came home from school and they're like, that is so cheesy. I can't believe you did that. And what I did was the TV, we had a big TV in the den. And I had it playing, it was the last second of Frozen 2, and then the credits started rolling. And I'm pointing to the screen and just shaking my head. And I put a caption above me and I said, if you thought that was the end of the story, it's not. And then in the caption in the TikTok, I wrote, so excited, Polar Nights by Jen and Mary Mancusi coming out, July, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't know at that point that most people watch TikTok and don't read the caption. And so what happened was overnight, I went from 3,000 followers to 10,000. And then I thought, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And so then I text my Disney publicist and I go, I think something happened. This TikTok hit. And I don't think people think I'm talking about the book, even though it says book in the caption. And so we both laughed about it. We thought, this is so funny. And then it kept growing and growing and growing. And this went on for weeks until it hit over 4 million views, 500,000 likes, thousands of comments of people being like, oh my gosh, Frozen 3 is coming. And I thought, why are people believing this random woman from New York who, why is it they think I know Frozen 3 is coming from my living room? And so then I get a phone call from Disney Publicity, and they're like, so your TikTok made it to the film department, and they'd like to remind you that you don't have to take it down, but in the future, if you're talking about a book, please use the word book specifically in the caption on the video. And I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. But it kind of launched my TikTok following after that, which was all by accident. So,
yeah. Well, and who knows? You were just doing accidental market research as if there was desire for more movies or not.
And look, there was, and now we're getting Frozen 3.
And so now it's actually a thing. You maybe you just manifested it completely accidentally when you were talking about something else.
I'm so glad. I want more Frozen, so I'm glad it happened.
Oh, too funny. Too funny. So I am, maybe this is me not being a very good book person, but can you explain, so middle grade books, you said, so those are second grade. How long are these books? Because you said it's kind of like a day in the life. I'm thinking for people that are listening that are either young listeners or listeners that have little ones around that are maybe just getting into reading. Can you kind of describe what that type and style of book is more?
Sure. So, the great thing about Disney books is they have so many books for every age range, picture books, on up through, I mean, the adult books. I think it's called the Meant to Be line, where they have these light romances, but kind of inspired by Disney stories, like Christina Lauren did a Tangled one that I loved this year. But middle grade, there's a wide range in middle grade where it's kids who can probably read on their own, I would say, although you could read them aloud to them. And those books are meant for, when I say middle grades, elementary school age. Usually,
Sure, yeah.
I think like 3rd through 6th grade. Every kid has a different reading level. Some kids like longer books, some like shorter books. What I've always loved about the Lost Legends books is, if I always say to librarians, if you're a reluctant reader who loves Disney, because I will tell you, whenever I visit schools, these kids all love Disney, boys, girls, every age. I always say start with a Lost Legend book, because those books are going to be a little shorter. They're under 200 pages, and they're based on a character kids already know. So those are a lot of fun for younger kids. The Twisted Tale books are considered young adult, but I know so many adults who read them. I've run into adults in bookstores who are, buying them for themselves. I read them all too. I cannot say that every teenager could read every Twisted Tale book. And, there's so many Twisted Tale authors now. I would say for the books I wrote, whenever parents say, do you think my daughter could read this? She's 14. I always say, absolutely, absolutely. If it's one of mine, I stand behind that, and I think it's completely fine. But it depends on the book and it depends on the story. So that would be considered young adult. Fairy Godmother is considered young adult. But, obviously there is some sadness in there.
Yeah.
And there is light romance, but I think it's completely appropriate for 6th grade and up. I really do. I think if you have a kid who likes a longer book, that book is a little bit longer, but it's more like a Villains length. And Villains is considered young adult as well. So I don't know. If you're a Disney fan, you read all of them. So
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
I will say I'm not like a big reader. Like, I don't have a lot of like time to read. I'm more like, I'll usually do like an audiobook or something.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, it doesn't matter what format, young adult is like hidden gems. Because like, I found that most of my books that I really enjoy are in that young adult kind of thing. Because I think for somebody like myself who's not like an avid reader, and maybe you can educate me more on this, but I feel like young adult books are still really, really great stories, and they're just amazing. Like, they transport you like all books do. But I feel like the only difference for me with young adult books is they don't use, in the ones I've read, as complicated as like terminology. Like, the language is a little simplified, not much, but a little bit more than like a regular adult book. And also, I just find that they're just more fun. Like, they don't get as like serious and like down and stuff. But I feel like, and they can, but I feel like it's not like dark. Maybe.
Yeah, it definitely, with young adult, it definitely depends on the author, because there's a lot of fantasies out there that are definitely upper level teen books. But I think the Twisted Tales are completely appropriate for teenagers. And I will say, if you're an audiobook fan, some of the ones I've written have really fun audiobook narrators. So, for example, The Rise of Flynn Rider, which is a Lost Legends book, is narrated by Sean Jambroni. He was Adam from the Goldbergs. And if you're a fan of the Tangled TV series, he voiced teen Eugene on the show. And so it was incredible to get for him to do it. And then this was actually really fun. We were very excited in my house this summer, because a wonderful perk that my editor gave me was she sent me a list of audiobook narrator choices for Fairy Godmother. And she's like, do you want to listen to these? Do you think one fits better than another? Who has, the right voice to tell this story? And so I picked one and I said, okay, I like this one, Mara Wilson. And she goes, do you know who you picked? And I said, no. And she goes, are you a Matilda fan? Have you seen Mrs. Doubtfire? And she sends me this article, and it turns out Mara Wilson, who, if you remember from Mrs. Doubtfire, she was the little girl. She was Matilda. She's done so many films. She now narrates audiobooks as one of the things she does, and she's won awards for it. And she's narrating Fairy Godmother. So we got to speak on Instagram a little bit, and I was so touched that she liked the book and enjoyed doing it. And I can't wait to listen to her reading it now, because her voice was perfect.
That's awesome.
That's neat. I think, it's amazing that it's, that connection, that accidental, like, famous connection, and probably a connection back to, like, your childhood with those movies. The thing I think that's really also quite cool that I didn't realize was a thing, that you, the author, got to be the one to pick the voice, because, right, it's your character. You probably have in your mind what you feel this person looks like, sounds like, all that sort of stuff. So it's neat that you actually got to go through and say, yes, that is the voice. Like, I just thought that
really cool.
Yeah, I kind of thought that. I mean, I don't know how it works. I just thought they paired people up and it just kind of went, and they went, we're looking for something sounding like that. Okay, there we go. I didn't think there was. You, the author, got that much connection. That's really, really cool.
I mean, it has not happened to me before at other publishers, but Disney has been really great that way. I know, like, Mary Mancusi wrote Dangerous Secrets, which is a prequel to, it's kind of like Aduna and Agnar from Frozen, the King and Queen. It's their love story.
Oh.
And the audiobook narrators are Alfred Molina and Evan Rachel Wood, who voiced them in Frozen 2. So we were all like,
that's wildly cool.
So that was pretty cool too. So, we were so excited about that for her.
Leave it to Disney. It's all in the details. Of course they would think about these things.
Right? I know. I love it. I love the synergy.
Well, we had such a great time talking with Jen about all of the books that she has written for Disney, and we're going to continue our conversation with her next week.
But until then, Jen has graciously extended a really kind offer to all listeners who purchase her newest book, Fairy Godmother, anytime between now and October 15th. If you're in the U.S., you can email Jen through her website, and she will send you some Disney book swag as well as a personalized book plate, which is a very awesome kind offer of her. So if you're interested, go get your copy of Fairy Godmother. You just have to send some sort of proof of purchase. So copy, screenshot of your receipt or whatever, and she'll get you some Fairy Godmother book swag to go along with your new book.
And all the links for that are in our show notes.
Yes.
Well, if you enjoy listening to the show, please consider rating and reviewing the show on your podcast app. It helps other Disney fans become weekly tiers and part of the community.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. And then you can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DLWeekly.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we're going to find out the answers to tonight's question, find out how many they got right, how many they got wrong, and just overall have a good time. How do you feel about it tonight?
I don't feel too bad.
I'm curious. I kind of feel like we maybe only got part of them, so I'm curious if we got it or if we only got parts. Does that make sense? I have like an 80% confidence level.
I think we did pretty good on most of I don't think we got, maybe one question. I feel like in general,
we're at least in the right right lane.
Even if we're wrong, I feel like we gave good answers.
Sure, yes, there you go.
Well, I was impressed. You had a
There's
good
another
night.
hat.
So
there's another hat.
He's like the gingerbread house this year. He just keeps
For those of you wondering, this is a live stream that we're doing for our AP and above supporters on Patreon. And so we're on camera while recording this, and Vern has part of his collection of mouse ear hats over there. So he's been swapping out hats per question.
Oh no, the whole collection is here.
Oh, the whole collection.
Yeah, my whole collection is on this couch.
No, because I brought 3 more home that are still downstairs, so those aren't
are mine?
up here yet. They can be shared.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know.
Yep.
Oh, next live
stream. I will
stream.
share them with you.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Your first regular round question tonight from listener Shelley E. Who was the first person, non-cast member or Imagineer or otherwise affiliated directly with Disney, to ride Splash Mountain? You answered Ken Pellman. Shout out to Sweep Spot. The answer that I was looking for was Jim Varney in character as Ernest P. Worrell.
Oh, I feel like we had this question before now that he says that.
Oh, I remember seeing photos of this.
From the short Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain, 1989.
I guess I didn't realize that was before it opened. Like, that was prior to it opening. But
it was a promo spot done as a commercial to jive up interest in the public to make people want to go and
there you
do
go.
Splash Mountain.
Would
Dang
you look
it.
at that?
Yep.
Sorry, Ken.
That's right. Ken, you're the first rider in our hearts.
In our hearts, yes.
Your second regular round question from listener Kavei S. According to the sign in front of Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, this entity has special mystic powers with which he made the sun keep regular hours. Tag said Tangaroa Roo. Teresa said Rongo. The correct answer that I was looking for: in a movie, he sings a song about how he lassoed the sun to give you the days. He's Maui.
Maui.
Wow.
He said a lot of things in that song, to be fair.
All right, I'll give you that, yes. All right.
Okay, so just to get through it, some of the gods depicted are Hina Kalua, goddess of rain, Rongo, god of agriculture, Maui, who roped the playful sun, and Tangaroa, father of all gods and goddesses. Which I think there are some more, but they were saying that's a limited selection. This is from the Wikipedia page.
There you go.
Anyway.
Your third regular round question from listener Stacia S. Which Disney parks have a Thunder Mountain ride in them? You answered Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, Disneyland Paris, and Disney Tokyo. The correct answer that I was looking for was Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, Disney Paris, and Disney Tokyo.
Woo!
We did it.
I have a question that I've put on my hub crawl for a future episode that is like, what's an attraction you really like but don't ride as much as you should? And Big Thunder Mountain is on there because I love that attraction.
Every time we go, you're like, we don't ride it enough.
We don't. I feel like we should ride it at least as much as we ride the Haunted Mansion. But it always has a longer wait because it doesn't get as many people through as the Haunted Mansion. But anyway.
I think our problem, not that it's a problem, but I think our thought process with Thunder Mountain is we go, like, since it's such a kind of a centrally located attraction for where we like to be in the parks, if it has a wait, we're like, we'll come back and do it later.
Yeah.
So we're really bad about not just committing.
Right. Yep.
That's sometimes the problem with going more often than not is you look at wait times and you're like, nah.
Yeah.
but then you don't circle back. So you need to just commit.
Like Star Tours. I think I'd ride Star Tours more, but we also do that. We walk by and we're like, oh, it's kind of a long wait. Let's just keep going.
Like, oh, that line's spilling out pretty far. I don't know about that. Yeah. We need to commit better.
And your fourth and final regular round question from listener Abby B. On Halloween night 2007, Disneyland dedicated the Frontierland oak tree near the Golden Horseshoe to what famous writer in celebration of the 25th anniversary of his novel, and what is the name of the novel? You answered Ray Bradbury and the novel The Halloween Tree. The correct answer that I was looking for was Ray Bradbury and The Halloween Tree.
Woo! I just learned this. Did you know it was also an animated,
I did not.
movie? Oh, no, television film produced by Hanna-Barbera.
We were just talking about Hanna-Barbera. It all comes together.
Full circle. We were just talking about Hanna-Barbera stuff during dinner before we recorded this. But yeah, now I feel like I need to add this to my Halloween time rotation of movies because I'm not a good scary movie person. If anybody really wants a laugh, there's a bonus episode out there from
COVID times, wasn't it?
Long ago of a drive-through haunted house that we did, and I was terrified, and that was us locked in the car with scare actors just walking around the parked car, so it shouldn't have been as terrifying as it was, but you can hear all the craziness from me. So anyway, I do fun light things like Beetlejuice and Hocus Pocus. Those are the things I like to watch for Halloween time stuff. So
way back
I should put this on this.
October 28th, 2020, bonus episode. DLWeekly, October 2020, Halloween bonus episode. Teresa Tegg, producer James, and social media manager Alex went to a haunted mall experience last weekend, and then it also has a picture of my car covered in fake blood.
If anybody's curious, the name of the movie is simply just The Halloween Tree. If you're curious and you want to check it out too. But yeah, I'm gonna put this on my list. I want to check this out now. The Halloween Tree.
And your bonus question tonight from listener Brian K. In the queue for Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, there is a recipe for the dip. What is the recipe, including ingredients and proportions? You answered 2 parts acetone, 1 part benzene, and 1 part turpentine. The correct answer that I was looking for was 1 part benzene, 1 part turpentine, and 1 part acetone.
Oh.
Equal parts.
Equal
Pretty close,
parts of
though.
all 3. You had the right ingredients, but
I mean, yeah.
Pretty close.
yeah.
It's all right. We're not melting tunes.
No.
No, you're not tune killers.
No.
Well, listeners, how did you do listening at home? How do you feel about how Tag and Teresa did? Do you have that perfect question that you'd really like to hear sometime in the future? If you do have that perfect question, feel free to send that in to us at dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to Sidel for editing the podcast.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.